The 22 Forever game is this week, and on today's Locked On Utes, we're talking about the things we're most looking forward to seeing, whether it's the backup quarterback battle or new faces. We're breaking it all down on today's Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen every single day. We are available on all platforms, including YouTube and wherever you may get your podcast. If this is your first time listening to our show, make sure you like and subscribe. Love interacting with all of you in the YouTube comments as well as on social media, where you can follow our show at Locked On Utes. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by FanDuel. You can make every moment more. New customers can join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. My name is JT Wistrcill, former intern inside the University of Utah Athletic Department. Excited to be joined on today's show by Moose Bingham, a former University of Utah and a collegiate kicker. And Moose, we're almost here for the 22 Forever game. And I think what's really exciting is we've heard all the reports about practice and all of these things, but we get to watch 22 minutes straight up, or not 22 minutes straight, excuse me, but we get to watch a Utah football scrimmage. And I think what excites me about that is obviously we're barely going to see Cam Rising. But I want to see how these guys are going to perform and how they're going to do. The guys who are getting their new opportunity and new role as someone who's gone through the spring game before. What are your thoughts on this game?
Oh, it's always a fun game, but the most important thing is to see not your ones and your twos, but your threes, fours, and fives. You're really rounding out the roster right now, and you're saying who's actually going to be there in the fall, who's going to secure their spot in fall camp, who's going to make the roster in all reality, because you've got a ton of new faces coming in. But if Cam Rising is there, let's kick his butt out of the stadium. Get out of here, Cam. Someone gives him a helmet. They get hit in the knee with a cane. Let's not let Cam Rising anywhere near a football field for this game. It's not worth it. We love Cam like he is away from football. He can get some throws in. He can warm up, whatever. But don't play in this game, Cam.
How strongly do you feel that Cam Rising will not play in this game?
How strongly do I feel? I feel it in my bones and my soul, to be honest with you. No, but in all reality, he's already proven what he needs to. We know who Cam Rising is. This is a game where even if you are a starter, you play maybe one series and you say, good job, give him a pat on the bum, and you say, get on your way and get into the crowd, sign some autographs, and have a good day. Because this is mainly an opportunity for you to go out, have fun with your family, know how hard you've been working, and then get ready for the upcoming season. Maybe let your body recover a little bit after this game, and then get ready to go into summer conditioning, because that's the next quarter in what's going on in Utah football.
It's next quarter, and we know what a grind that can be from the various clips and things we've heard about. And I'm sure you could share some stories about that too on another episode about what that intensity is like. But yes, what doesn't matter as much as Cam Rising. But the backup quarterback battle will be a lot of fun, because Kyle Whittingham said it's heated between Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson currently. And I think it's fascinating. Look, Rose was kind of the star of spring ball last year at the time, beat out Bryson Barnes for the job, and obviously had the injuries and didn't get to play at all this season like you kind of hoped. And Utah definitely could have used him with some of the quarterback injuries that eventually started to develop for them. But Wilson just did things at the high school level that, and can just, in general, there's a reason he's such a high recruit. The plays he can make, he just can't teach. So I'm very excited to see this backup quarterback battle play out live. Which of the two quarterbacks do you think will have a better showing in the 22 Forever game?
In the 22 Forever game, this is really a chance for Wilson to come out and show who he is. Rose has already been there. He's gone through this whole ordeal, so he knows what to face. Rose isn't coming out of Murrieta Valley right now, and he was really good at Murrieta Valley. He had, let's be honest here, he had 7,500 yards and 74 touchdowns. He was a 3-star. He did a lot of good things. And his senior year, he had 3,000 yards and almost 300 rushing and 2 touchdowns. He did a lot of good things in high school, and he hasn't had a chance to prove that in college. But in all reality, we have Wilson coming in. Wilson is a 4-star quarterback. He's an All-American coming in, and he's what these coaches have been dreaming of. Wilson is basically, if he outperforms Rose, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rose in the transfer portal at the end of this game if it doesn't go well for him, because he's going to get buried on the depth chart. So Rose isn't just playing for a spot. He's playing for his life at this point in the Utah colors, to be honest with you. So I think Wilson's coming in with the swagger, with the confidence. I've seen it before in his brother, and I think Wilson's going to come in ready to play, ready to ball out. And I think Wilson may be forcing Rose into a situation that may not be ideal for him in the future.
You make a great point about if Wilson were to outperform Rose. Would Rose really want to be, yes, last year quarterback got crazy. Like if Brandon Rose would have been QB3, which it seemed like he would have because Bryson then passed him kind of over the course of fall camp. Does he really want to be QB3 again? I know Cam's dealt with some injuries, but this is not a path to playing time. There's other places you can go and have the opportunity to set yourself up for that success. So that is going to be really interesting to watch, to see if Wilson is able to have that type of performance. And man, if he was able to already be a backup as a true freshman like that, I know we've seen some true freshmen start before, but that just speaks to how much progress Wilson has made. And do you feel like over the course of spring ball that he could really have already earned Kyle Whittingham's trust this early?
I think he can, and I think he has. I think that doesn't bode well for Rose, to be honest with you. But I think Wilson, has he made some mistakes? Of course. If you don't make mistakes in the spring, it means you're playing just very soft football, very safe football, not taking risks. What I like about Wilson is he's going out, he's taking risks. He's throwing an interception, and you say, great, let's figure out what happened there. Let's see what happened on film so we can fix this. Because the defense he's going against might be the best defense he'll see all year, to be honest with you. So I love that he's out there playing one of the top defenses in the country, understanding what they're doing to him, exploiting his weaknesses, so he can start that chess match in an earlier age. So if he does get in, we know that he's prepared to go.
You mentioned just how good this Utah defense is. Moose, is someone who covers the high school game closely. How crazy is it to think, and obviously quarterbacks don't get hit, but that Isaac Wilson takes a snap and Junior Tafuna is one of the defensive tackles on the other side? How crazy is that?
Dude, it's crazy, but it just tells you how talented the state of Utah is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lander Barton, Smith Snowden. You've got so many guys. Lavani DeMooney, who unfortunately just went down.
I know.
You've got just a plethora of guys littering this roster with Utah ties. The linemen, everyone. You're just like, wow, there's a lot of good football in the state of Utah, but unfortunately for the University of Utah, a lot of other schools are seeing that now. Jeffrey Bossa going to Oregon. He's one of the top returning players in the entire country, to be honest with you. USC is getting guys. Jackson Dart going to Ole Miss. There's guys out there that you're just like, oh, if Utah had this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, how different could their season outlook be?
Absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see, as Utah now is in the Big 12, how do some of those schools try to recruit the state? There are so many fascinating things to play out as it pertains to the future of Utah football. And, speaking of the future of Utah football, let's talk about some of those guys that are on the roster. We're going to be breaking down some of the new faces we're going to get to see in action in the 22 Forever game in one moment. But first, I want to talk to you all today about our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel is making it even more exciting to get in on the action, because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make your first bet a big win. Locked On, once again, is the promo code, capital LNO, no spaces. Locked On at FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Moose, we're coming up on the NFL draft. Are there any juicy draft things you think are going to happen that people should keep their eyes on as it pertains to them looking at the NFL from a gambling perspective? You think there's anything crazy that might shake out?
Gambling on the NFL draft is possibly the most interesting choice you could make in your life. Because I talk to NFL GMs, I talk to NFL agents. I'm like, what do you think's going to happen? They're like, I don't freaking know. But if I talk to them and I say, who do you think's going to win the Big 12? They're like, that team up north is doing real good stuff, that University of Utah. I'm like, okay. So there's a little confidence in there. But I think it's going to be interesting to see where the Utah guys land, where all the local guys land. I'm really excited about Jackson Powers Johnson in the first round. I'm excited about Kingsley Suamataia. I'm really excited about the 2 safeties from the University of Utah as well. So there's some absolute ballers that I can't wait to see where they land. But more than where they land, how they perform where they land. I hope they all get in good situations, and that's what matters to me the most.
Check it out. Make sure you guys head over to FanDuel today to check out all the latest odds on the NFL draft and the NBA playoffs, plus MLB baseball. So much going on at FanDuel. Moose, I said the backup quarterback is the biggest thing I'm looking at in the spring game. Is there an individual player or position group you're most excited to watch in the 22 Forever game?
You know what? There's a lot of big guys coming in, but I want to see Dorian Singer, hopefully, even just for a snap or two.
I was going to say, yeah, you were just talking about.
But we're going to be seeing Tayshawn Lyons a lot, and I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited about Isaiah Garcia. I want to see how he handles everything up there. Carson Ryan, I know he's kind of on IR a little bit, but I'm just like, throw him in there. Why not? Because I just love Carson Ryan.
Put a red penny on him. Don't hit him. Just let him catch a pass.
Yeah. Then there's Frankie Goodson. He's kind of like the question mark tight end that I'm like, coming from Olympus, played a little JUCO, should be interesting. At running back, Anthony Woods. I want to see what he does as well. New guy coming in. That's one that I'm really interested in. Canarius Vaughn at defensive end is another kid I'm looking out for.
The UTEP transfer.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if he could get ahead of Connor O'Toole or what's going to happen, or if he's just setting himself up for his senior year. So there's a little bit of a battle there, but Connor O'Toole seems to have it. Kenai Lopez as well at linebacker. I want to see what he does because we've got to see who's going to take over for Lavani at this point. Is it going to be Sione Fotu? Is it going to be Lopez? I'm excited to see who does it or what's going to go on with the linebacker group because I know we run a 4-2 and the linebackers are pretty much set, but Lavani Damuni was a really, really big get for them. And so I'm interested to see that as well. Keenan Johnson at corner. I want to see what he does. He's a transfer. And Cameron Calhoun. Those both at the left cornerback position. I'm like, ooh, who's going to come in and really show up and show out? And then for safety, Alakai Gilman. Geilman. He is already just endearing himself to the whole entire state. He's putting on a football camp. I want to see if he's going to play at all and how he meshes with the University of Utah as well.
I would be, to your point, like we don't know what starters are going to play and not, but we've heard that Teo Johnson's the one safety that's kind of got a pretty strong chance to start. And then Jonathan Hall, Nate Ritchie, and Gilman all battling it out for that other spot. So I'm fascinated to see how much run those guys potentially get as they kind of start to fight for those spots. You brought up so many great position battles throughout that too. I'll throw in another one. And once again, never know how much of these guys we're going to see, but some guys, when they're going to be trying to make their first start in the fall, I almost wonder if we do see a little more of them. A guy like a Caleb Lomu at left tackle. That's a guy who I do want to see. I don't know how much of the first team offense we will potentially see, but Lomu's a guy who I would love to see how he does hold up in. Even if Utah's first string rushers don't play, we were just talking about the defensive end depth. It's absolute insanity. Van Fillinger, Connor O'Toole, Vaughn, John Henry Daly. Fano is not back for spring ball yet, but that's in Chase Kennedy. There's so many guys in this Utah defensive end room that I know that Lomu's already been going against them, but I would love to see these guys as well as some of the backups too, because there's always injuries along the offensive line. Last year it happened on the interior and a shakeup when Jaron Kump was kind of moved around too. So I'm very curious to see how the offensive line kind of takes shape here too, with so many young guys factoring in. And we're going to get to our first look at Isaiah Garcia too.
Yeah. And you don't like all of these guys are super young. They're all sophomores or freshmen. And then you've got the old head, Tanoa Togiai over there as well. And so you're like, okay, how's this going to match up? But I love that we have 2 years with all of these guys minimum.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. Really 3. And so I'm just like, what's going to happen with these tackles? All athletic, all very good-looking specimens, all great human beings on top of that. But I'm excited to see how this group starts to mesh together without the leadership that's gone on to the NFL draft with like Bills.
Yeah. Bills gone, Nosa Laumea, Braden Daniels now 2 years removed. And going back to the point, you also made a great point about the linebackers. I mean, there's a reason when Lander got hurt that Utah's defense was still able to stay in the top 5 as a run defense. Is because you have a guy like Demooney who can still come in, has that sideline speed, can make those tackles and step up in those spots. And he was a guy who had so much run at Stanford. Fotu did not have that same luxury there. So how is the other linebacker spot? You love the top 2 guys, but with football, it's always good to be deep. And I know I got a chance to talk about it on my show last week, Moose, as well, but it is just so heartbreaking for Leavani, a guy who wanted to stay for another year. And you just hate that we won't get to see him for more than likely the entirety of the season. And it's already April. So the fact that it was that severe of an injury, it just, it's just heartbreaking. And my thoughts and prayers still go out to him. You just hate to see it.
It makes me sad, but I'm glad it happened now instead of like game 5, where it's like, okay, your NFL potential is absolutely gone. The reason he came to Utah was so that he could get those NFL looks. And so it may be a blessing in disguise. He may be able to come back, start next year, absolutely dominate, and get that first-round draft pick that Wanga, his dad, has been waiting for. Get that family money up to Logan. There's some good things. I mean, at linebacker, you still have some great players. You still have Corene Reed. You still have Lander Barton, and we're going to be running a 4-2 most likely. I want to see Sione Fotu. I want to see Lopez. And someone that no one's really talking about is Josh Calvert. We've still got 4-star. Like, I remember meeting both of the Calvert brothers when I was recruiting at BYU, and they were freshmen, and they walked in, and I was like, whoa, you guys are massive. What are you? And they're like, we're 14-year-olds. I'm like, bull. You guys are liars because you're massive. But I think Josh Calvert is still a dude that if he realizes his potential, he's an NFL-type body. And let's see if he can get that NFL-type attitude coming in and really wreaking some havoc.
I'm excited to see what he can do as well. And Utah is going to need someone else to potentially step up because, once again, injuries and things happen. So something to keep an eye on going forward for sure. And curious to see how it plays out, but so many fun storylines to play out in the spring game. And, 22 Forever game is such a great time to come together as well and remember and reflect on the legacies of 2 Utah football players who, of course, passed away as well. So it's a great cause that it supports as well, too. And, but the spring game, always a time to come out, be with family and friends. And, it's always interesting to know, like, what is it like for the players? That's what I want to ask you, Moose, in one moment, because you've been through some spring games, not just with Utah, but other programs. So I want to talk about some of your top memories from your time at Utah with the spring game. We're going to be diving into that in one moment. But first, I want to talk to you all about our friends at Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and a lot more, not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, traveling, and cooking videos too. So make sure you check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this one. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, Moose, your favorite spring game memory at the University of Utah first. Go.
At the University of Utah, I was perfect on PATs. We didn't really do much, but I was really happy with my performance there. And then I was really sad after because my side ended up losing. And so we had to clean up the whole facility after. And it was when we were in the trailers. And, like, the trailers were just a dump. It was just like They were trying to convince us. They're like, this is what Cal did when they got their facilities redone, and these trailers are amazing. And they were just awful. And so I was just cracking up there. But I had a lot of fun in the spring game. My whole family was there. I was laughing because my brother-in-law came and supported me. He was a linebacker in the NFL. And Brian Johnson was sitting there. He's like, what is this guy doing here? And he's like, I'm here to support Moose. And he's like, why? He's the backup kicker. And I'm like, I don't know, BJ, like, we'll figure it out. But it was fun. And it's just fun being at Utah, seeing all the guys that had come before you. And they all just brought their wisdom. And it was just a great family atmosphere. And it's just fun being at the spring game.
It is fun to be out there. Excited to see just what the crowd looks like for Utah. So you mentioned your favorite spring game memory. Is there a spring practice memory that stands out? Anything kind of crazy or wild that happened up there that you look back on fondly?
At Utah, I was kind of laughing because it was about practice 3, and I wasn't really getting a chance. So I went into Coach Hill's office, and I was like, Coach Hill, I'm the best guy here. Was I? No. But I told him I was. So I went into his office. He's like, all right, I see you. Let's give you a chance. And then after I went into his office, I ended up going 20 for 20 on kicks. Yeah, I did really good in the spring. And I had a perfect spring, as crazy as that is. I had one blocked kick because someone shot through the A-gap and got that fixed up. But after that, he's like, you know what? You actually might have a future in this. Let's figure out what we can do. So that was my favorite part of spring, just kind of betting on myself and Utah giving me the chance to bet on myself when I kind of went in and had that conversation with Coach Hill. So if you guys ever are worried, just go in, bet on yourself. And if it doesn't work out, you're like, hey, you know what? At least you bet on yourself.
Hey, there you go. Look at inspirational end to the pod. I never know with you and your stories how it's going to end too. So I thought it was going to be like, I told him I was the best guy and then I missed like 3 kicks. That's what I thought you were going to say next. I didn't have no idea where that story was going to go. And then you went, I hit 20 straight. And I'm like, yay, positive spin on it.
No, the thing is, it really didn't matter that I hit 20 straight because we had Andy Phillips. So he's like, yeah, you know what? You had a great spring ball, but in the end, it doesn't matter because we've got Andy Phillips. So I'm like, all right. I was like, you know what? Between you and me, I'd choose Andy too, 10 times out of 10. That's a great choice right there.
Hey, like you said, you bet on yourself and you stepped up. And that's what all these players are going to be doing in the spring game. They've bet on themselves, the opportunity on the field, and now we get to see them try and capitalize on it. So should be a lot of fun. Moose, you are a man of many talents and do a lot of things. Tell everyone where they can find you at and what all you have going on.
Yeah, just find me at Moose B90. One of the more exciting things that I have going on is a program that I just launched. It's called Recruiting for Parents that you can find recruitingforparents.com. It teaches parents the process of recruiting, how to help your kids get to the next level. And hopefully they'll be wearing that crimson color pretty soon if you guys do everything right.
Hey, that would be something awesome. I would love if someday someone DM'd me like my son or our family used to watch Locked On Utes and then they went and played there someday. Like that would be just tremendous. And Moose has the site to be able to help you guys to be able to do that too. So Moose, thank you for joining us. Great stuff as always.
Oh, always a pleasure. I can't wait to hop back on another day.
You definitely will be soon, my friend. We appreciate your time. It's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Utes. We still got a lot to talk about as it pertains to the 22 Forever game. So make sure you guys keep it at Locked On Utes all week long.